GO Team!
Imagine that Sunday night, hundreds of millions of people glued to their screens, hearts racing with every play, social media exploding over a single touchdown, and at the very same time, another group of people is doing chores, reading a book, watching a movie, or simply going to bed early. It's not that they're trying to be different. It's not that they want to go against the crowd. They genuinely don't feel anything special about it. And here's the interesting part. That indifference often confuses others even more than intense enthusiasm. Why do some people treat the Super Bowl as an unmissable cultural event, while others see it as just another TV program, maybe even a bit loud and overhyped? The answer isn't simply about liking or not liking football. It has more to do with how our brains process emotion, stimulation, and even our basic need to belong. We often act as if loving sports is the human default, but that's not actually true. No child is born automatically obsessed with a championship game. What happens behind the scenes is a subtle psychological mechanism. When the team you support wins, your brain releases dopamine, the neurotransmitter linked to reward and pleasure. This phenomenon is known as basking in reflected glory. You didn't score the touchdown yourself, but you still feel like you won. That feeling can be powerful enough to create long term emotional attachment. However, not every brain responds the same way. For some people, that stimulation simply isn't strong enough to spark excitement. If you've ever watched a game and felt absolutely nothing, drop a 1 in the comments below. I'm curious to see how many people actually belong to this sports dopamine immune group. Consumer psychology has long shown that people vary widely in their optimal level of stimulation. Some individuals crave high intensity experiences, roaring crowds, constant shifts in momentum, emotional highs and lows. They feel most alive when their heart rate rises and the energy around them is electric. Others, however, operate at a lower frequency. They prefer calm, stability, and more subtle forms of enjoyment. For them, a 3-hour game packed with nonstop twists and heightened emotion doesn't feel thrilling, it feels draining. The key point is this: neither side is right or wrong. These differences simply reflect how each person's nervous system regulates energy and stimulation. Someone who loves the Super Bowl may experience genuine excitement and engagement. Someone who doesn't may feel overstimulated or exhausted. Both reactions are completely normal. They're not personality flaws or cultural shortcomings, just different biological settings. Humans survive by forming groups. For thousands of years, belonging to a tribe was directly tied to survival. Modern sports, almost unintentionally, reactivate that ancient mechanism. When you say, my team, you're not just referring to a club, you're affirming a group identity. The emotions behind we won and they lost mirror the deeply rooted in group versus out group dynamics embedded in human psychology. However, not everyone finds their sense of belonging in sports. Some people find it in book communities, gaming circles, music fandoms, tech spaces, or even highly niche online forums. They're not rejecting social connection. They're simply choosing a different tribe. Another factor is locus of control, your psychological point of control. Some people lean strongly toward an internal locus of control. They want their own effort to directly produce results. When they work hard, they expect to see a clear, proportional outcome. In a game, You can yell at the screen, wear a lucky jersey, or follow every play intensely, but in reality, you have no impact on the final score. For many people, the emotional journey alone is enough. But for those with a strong internal locus of control, that dynamic can feel meaningless. They prefer to invest energy in areas where their actions truly make a difference, not because they're cold or detached, just because their motivational structure operates differently. We live in a world that constantly throws notifications at you: emails, messages, social media updates, negative news, financial pressure. The nervous system rarely gets real rest. For many people, the Super Bowl doesn't feel like a celebration. It feels like adding one more massive source of stimulation: noise, flashing lights, rapid fire ads, and nonstop emotional swings, especially for highly sensitive individuals who make up roughly 15 to 20% of the population. Large, crowded gatherings can drain energy quickly. What others call fun, they may experience as an extended endurance test. If you've ever left a game watching party feeling exhausted instead of energized, comment tired below. I want to see how many people genuinely feel that way. Sports are exciting precisely because they're unpredictable, but that same uncertainty doesn't suit everyone. Psychological research shows that tolerance for ambiguity and uncertainty varies significantly between individuals. For some people, suspense feels thrilling. For others, suspense feels stressful. Sitting for 3 hours in a state of not knowing what's going to happen can trigger mild anxiety in those with a lower tolerance threshold. And when the final outcome has no direct impact on their real lives, the entire experience can easily be judged as not worth it. It's similar to horror movies. Some people love the adrenaline rush, while others can't stand the tension. The Super Bowl is no longer just a football game. It's a full-scale media event: million-dollar commercials, a halftime spectacle, themed menus, and the expected conversations the next morning. For fans, all of this enhances the experience. But for those who aren't interested, it can feel artificial. You're surrounded by excitement you don't share. You're expected to comment on the ads or the big plays, even though you don't really care. That emotional mismatch can create a strange sense of isolation, not because you dislike people, but because you're not operating on the same emotional frequency. And in a society that treats sports as cultural glue, indifference can sometimes make you feel like you're standing just outside the circle. We tend to over psychologize everything. If someone doesn't like something popular, we assume there must be a deeper explanation. But sometimes the reality is much simpler. People have different tastes. Some don't like coffee, some don't listen to electronic music, some don't watch football. Preferences don't need to be justified by neuroscience. Someone who doesn't watch the Super Bowl might be deeply passionate about a different sport or about something completely unrelated. That doesn't make them less social or less community oriented. What's unusual isn't the lack of interest. What's unusual is the expectation that everyone should care about the same thing in the same way. In the end, the issue isn't whether you watch the Super Bowl or not. It's how we understand differences. Some people need high stimulation to feel alive. Others need stability to feel balanced. Some find identity through sports. Others find it elsewhere. And all of those paths make sense. In short, you might not care because your optimal level of stimulation is lower. You lean toward an internal locus of control. You're sensitive to sensory overload. You dislike uncertainty, or simply because you don't like football. And that's completely normal. If this video helped you understand yourself a little better, hit like to support the channel. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss upcoming deep psychological breakdowns. And if you enjoy topics like this, check out the other videos on the channel. You might discover even more things that feel surprisingly true to you.